Gonna go live for a little bit here. Hello. Yeah, really interesting. I don't know what I'm going to talk about today, but it's going to be good. So let's talk about life after Mormonism, growth after Mormonism. Let's give it a second here. Just going to wait for some people to join. All righty then, here we are. We're going live. So I love this. Somebody left a comment and they're basically saying, why diss the church if you don't believe anymore? So at the core of this is just hypocrisy. So I love it. Mormons, they love, they want to say, just leave the church, but leave it alone. So basically what they're saying is it's okay for Mormonism to create an army of young missionaries to go and spread their beliefs and tell everybody else they're wrong. But if you want to say it's wrong, you should just be quiet. So look, when you cut out the BS, there's the sharing of ideas. There's good ideas and there's bad ideas. So Mormons want to be able to go and share all their terrible ideas with the world. And they get angry when people want to share their other ideas. So there's this hypocrisy. Mormons want to go and tell Christians that they're wrong. They want to go tell everybody else in the world that they're wrong. And that Mormons have this special monopoly on truth, that they're the one true church. And then they get angry when other people want to share their ideas. So there's this great hypocrisy going on in Mormonism. Look, as far as religion goes, all religion is ideas about life. All we can do is share ideas about truth or whatever. So we like to categorize it with these fancy words. We're sharing the plan of salvation, blah, 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 blah. All we're doing is sharing ideas about life, about the world. And, I don't have a problem with believing in God. Believing that there's some higher intelligence in this world, that there's something bigger than ourselves. I think that can actually be a healthy belief, and here's why. And I also don't have a problem with people being, atheists. And I love exploring different ideas and filtering the world through different belief systems, and I don't have a problem with that. And it can be really disorienting when you leave a religion and you have to reconstruct your worldview, and people have to respect that. So look, all humans have a need for certainty, to feel secure and to feel certain. And religion can really fill that void. And I think it can be a healthy belief, having a general belief that there is some reason to all of this, that there's some purpose to life, and that there's some type of creator and intelligence behind creation. And I can look at creation, look at the universe, and I can see it both ways. I understand atheists who see it as this chaos and that it just came by random chance and we're just highly evolved apes. I understand that worldview, and I can understand why people want to see it that way with all the evil and everything that happens in the world. And I also understand looking at the universe and believing that, hey, there's some creator, there's some intelligence behind this. And I think that can be a healthy belief. It's really interesting. So I have this idea that we can look at the universe and look at the world, and let's assume there's a creator for a little bit here. So we can look at creation and we can deduce some traits about the creator. So assuming that the world was created by some type of intelligence or some type of being, we can look at the world and say, okay, a being who would create a world like this, what do they value? And so, for example, if somebody writes a song or creates a work of art, we can, oh dang, is my audio not even working? Hold on. Testing 1, 2. I'm going to double check this. Hold on. I'm going to start. I don't even know if my audio is working here. If not, I'm going to start this again. Test. Okay, you can hear me. Good. Thank you, Gary. Because I was like, okay, if this isn't working, then this is all going to be a really weird video. So look, faith, belief, there is a lot of unknown about the universe, and it's okay when there's something unknown to create a belief about it. So going back to this. So let's just look at the world as it is. And there's different beliefs we could create. One is that this universe, this world is, okay, let's see. So he says the audio is a little low. I wonder if I can, let me check this out here. Testing 1, 2. Hello, 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 hello. Okay, let's give this a second here. I don't know how to mess with these settings in here. So I'm just going to keep going. As long as you can hear me, that's good enough. So here's the thing. So I can look at a movie or look at some type of work in art, and from that, I can understand something about the creator. And assuming that there is a creator and that this universe is some type of reflection of this creator, we can understand something about the creator. Like if I write a song or write a movie, you can watch the movie or listen to the song and understand something about the creator of that song. So let's assume there is a creator. Well, look, when I look at the universe and the diversity and the craziness going on, I would think, okay, God, if you created this universe, I would assume you love diversity and variety, because there's no two trees that are the same. There's all this variety of animals and insects. And so assuming that this universe is something created by a creator, I have to assume that this all-powerful creator intended for variety in this world, right? I mean, we're talking about an omnipotent mind and omnipotent being, and it's silly to think that creation from an all-powerful being is just a mistake. So this is, I'm going off of assumptions, and this is what we do when we're philosophizing. So when I look at the world, I can deduce that, okay, this creator loves variety. And how can I do that? Because there's variety. Just as if I wrote a jazz piece, somebody could listen to that and say, oh, the creator likes jazz. Or if I wrote a pop tune, somebody could listen to that pop tune and say, oh, the person who created this likes pop. Or if I write a song about heartbreak, somebody could listen to that and say, oh, this person must have had their heart broken, because they understand that. So what's so messed up about Mormonism is it forces you to look at the world, and you have to come to the conclusion that either a creator created something that they didn't actually want, or he's kind of a moron. So look, this has been a big topic with Elder Ballard. The information is in, the data is in. Some people are gay. There are homosexuals. Now, 30 years ago, there was a question about it, but now we just know, look, some people are born with same-sex attraction, period. There's no debate about this. So what Mormonism wants you to believe is that these people are kind of mistakes, that God created all these various humans, and these ones who are born with this, they're mistakes, they're bad. It's a terrible belief to have about humans. So how I look at the universe is, when I look at everything, I look at the stars and I look at the planets, it's clear to me that if there was a creator who's intelligent and created this with some type of intention, he loves variety, or she loves variety, or whatever this is. And so when I look at homosexuals, I just assume, oh, God likes variety and he created this with a reason. Is that so crazy to believe? And so on this other, this video I just uploaded, it was about Elder Holland's talk, and he clearly doesn't like Mormons accepting the LGBTQ community, and he was very harsh on that. Look, I have to think, okay, good and evil. I think most people are confused about this. Good and evil isn't arbitrary, and I love to think, I love the philosopher Sam Harris, and he basically explains this. He says, look, when we look at what we consider good, there's some underlying characteristics of the good, and things that are good lead to well-being. They lead to human flourishing. They lead to people being happy. And so bottom line is, the things that we think are good, they all have this underlying characteristic. Oh, sorry, let's see. Oh, I love this. So Gary Chadwick says, I have a gay son and I knew he was gay at 3. It was never a choice. And I will come back to this. But yeah, it's like, we can either believe that that was a mistake by God, or like, look, God likes variety and people are different, and great. a person's gay, and doesn't have to be a lot of drama around it. It's just like God likes variety. Some people are tall, some people are short, some people are straight, some people are gay. We don't have to create drama about it. And what creates suffering is when we tell people they shouldn't be the way that they are. When you tell a youth that they shouldn't be gay and they need to spend their whole life fighting this and being torn, that is evil. Why is it evil? Because it creates unnecessary suffering. It's pretty simple, people. Look, things that are good. For example, exercise is good. Why is exercise good? Because it leads people to live happy, healthy lives. When we really mistreat our body for extended periods of time, it leads us to not be happy. When you get disease because of your choices, that's bad because it leads us to not well-being. It's really not that complicated. And so the problem I have with Mormonism is it's pushing ideas that objectively create unnecessary psychological suffering. When you teach people to be at conflict with their nature, that creates unnecessary suffering. And I gave this example in my other video. If, let's say, Mormonism or some religion has a belief that men who bald, well, that's a sign that there's Satan influencing their lives. So let's pretend we have some belief that male balding equals bad. You just have a bunch of middle-aged males torturing themselves over balding and wondering what's going on. Now, if we just have a belief, well, look, balding can be it's just a natural progression of life, and some men bald and some don't. And I'm very thankful. The reason I keep my hair long is like, look, I am 36 and I have a beautiful, luscious head of hair. And so apparently, in this worldview, I am very righteous, which obviously isn't true. So the point is, with crappy belief systems, we create all these arbitrary values that, when not lived up to, create unnecessary inner conflict. And so, like, the point being, obviously, we know that balding is genetic and it has nothing to do with whether you're good or evil. Now, like, we can go back, if we go back a century or even 50 years, the jury was out, let's say, on homosexuality. We didn't understand it very well. And so the churches would say, well, it's just bad, moral, blah, 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 blah. But we just know today, look, we don't know exactly why, but some people are just born gay. And so the reason why the church's stance is evil is because their teachings create another level of psychological suffering that's completely avoidable by a better belief system. So again, good and evil. Good, things that lead to flourishing, happiness, well-being, and that eliminate unnecessary suffering. Evil are things that create unnecessarily suffering and states of not well-being, of suffering. And so that's like when we say, it's bad to kill people and to torture them. Well, it's bad because torturing and killing people creates unnecessary suffering. It's really not that hard. And so, let's look at, with Mormonism, when they taught that Black people are somehow inferior in the God's eyes and they can't receive the priesthood, that created unnecessary suffering. It's really not hard. So when I'm looking at the church leaders and their teachings, I'm just looking at their teachings and thinking, okay, is this teaching creating unnecessary drama and conflict, or is it creating peace and helping people? So when the church teaches that all this nonsensical drama that, hey, if you leave the church and if your kids leave the church, there's something wrong with them, that's objectively evil. And we see it over and over again in Mormonism. I see these families and they create all this drama. Oh my God, my child wants to leave the church, and I know our family is going to be split up for eternity. It's just unnecessary drama. In my worldview, which is just kind of a secular, Western, civilized worldview, it's like, look, people are going to believe what they're going to believe, and we need to make sure we separate the baby from the bathwater. And all that means is we want to separate what's good and what's evil and keep the good and get rid of the evil. So like everything that's good about Mormonism is not unique to Mormonism. So look, I think it's really good that we have morals and standards in general. But so like good values are ones that are good in any time and any place. So um, most humans value some type of discipline, which is basically we live by our goals and objectives, and we can't be always swept away by our feelings. And that's what discipline is. Like, look, I'm going to go work out. Sometimes I don't want to work out, but I'm not just going to live by what I feel. I'm going to do what is good for me. Um, Alcoholism, and people can have their own beliefs. So what we know is like, look, being drunk every day and over consuming alcohol to the point of blacking out and throwing up every day is bad for you. And for some people, they decide, look, I want abstinence from alcohol. Other people, they try to find balance. And so, in real life, we're trying to find this balance, but we don't need a religion to tell us what's good and what's bad. And over time, our morality is evolving as we start understanding more of what is good and what's bad for humans. A while back, let's say tobacco use and smoking, we didn't know what was good and bad. And now we know, like, look, being addicted to nicotine is harmful to our organism and it's going to create cancer. And so generally, look, you don't want to be addicted to nicotine and smoke too much. Some people might decide, like, look, I want to smoke a little bit, blah, blah, blah. Like, everybody gets to decide what's that. But it's funny, what we know is bad for humans is teaching the youth that if they're gay, they need to be celibate or marry somebody who they're not attracted to. Objectively, we know that's bad for humans. How do we know? Well, because it creates misery and creates suicide. Suicide is bad. So, look, the point being, I believe, as I don't know what I am. I'm kind of a spiritualistic person. I'm working out my beliefs. What do I believe? Yeah, I've kind of gone from atheism to believing, look, it's good for me when I believe in some type of higher power, that there's some uh, reason for existence, and whether there's some external God, or sometimes I think like, maybe we created all of this as some type of like simulation. I don't know. I don't know what I believe, but I love exploring ideas. And so, going back, I believe, though, there is a good and evil, and it's objective. It's not arbitrary, because the Bible says if your daughter is a virgin on her wedding night, we need to stone her. Like, just because the Bible says it doesn't make it good. We objectively know that, well, stoning your daughters creates a lot of unnecessary suffering for them. And imagine, killing your own daughter. That would be objectively bad. It would create a lot of psychological strife and discord for yourself. So, like, that's how we need to measure good and evil. It's like, is this good for humans? Does it create well-being and psychological good stuff, or does it create unnecessary suffering? So Mormonism is kind of at this, weird crossroad where they're trying to hang on to the past. And I think really in Mormonism, they'd love to push the LGBTQ community into the shadows, that they don't have a voice. And fortunately, a lot of the youth are growing up. One of the values in society that we've really distilled is, look, inclusion, maximal inclusion. Now, it's not 100% inclusion. If we don't include, people who are psychopaths and think that they enjoy killing for fun, well, look, that's evil, because killing people creates unnecessary suffering. So objectively, we can say psychopaths who just like to torture people for fun, they're bad, and they should be locked up for the well-being of society. Let's look at some comments here. Yeah, so Gary's saying the self-loathing and shame is totally unacceptable, and the church puts on its numbers. Yeah, so creating doctrines that just create unnecessary self-loathing and shame is bad. It's shame and self-loathing is not a good psychological state to be in. So any other thoughts on this? I don't know if there's any questions on this aspect. So look, Mormonism, there's actually a lot of good stuff in Mormonism. You'll find, look, a value of being a good parent and of families in general is good. Now, again, everything good in Mormonism is ubiquitous. It's found in every religion. Mormonism doesn't have a monopoly on families. And I would argue that also a lot of their doctrines create discord in the families when they overemphasize the purpose of life is to be Mormon. Well, it creates a lot of unnecessary strife and discord when people decide to leave. What does Mormonism teach that is good? I can drop my phone here. I mean, you guys know what other good stuff in Mormonism. I think generally some type of faith in some type of higher purpose is good. Maybe I didn't state that well, but I think like selflessness to a certain extent is good. And most religions teach that you're not here just to only focus on your own well-being at the expense of others. I think that's good. Gosh, what is some other good stuff? I'm going to go think personally. The mission for me, I went to Mexico. Overall, there was some good and some bad. I think though it was a good experience. Would it have been better than just going to college and really studying? Probably not. I learned Spanish on my mission. That was good. I kind of think stateside missionaries where you don't learn another language are kind of a waste of time. That's just me. Honestly, if I hadn't I'm trying to think of the redeeming values of the mission. In the mission, I think there was a good discipline there. I could have learned it a little bit in a different way, going to college and learning some skills. A lot of what I studied in the mission now was just a waste of time. But I did learn in the mission to study hard and to philosophize. That was good. I think studying the scriptures, studying anything and really taking it seriously and learning how to think about it can be good. But again, it probably would have been better served studying something worthwhile, like studying ethics from Kant or something would have been better. But and here's the whole thing, and this is what I found, everything good in the world that we find in religion is not unique to Mormonism. It's actually the things that are unique to Mormonism that suck. Really. If I were to go to a religion, if I was going to become religious again, whatever that means, I think just general mainstream kind of progressive Christianity is way better than Mormonism. I think I'd probably just be general Christian over Mormonism. I think, Christianity brought a lot of good stuff to the world. I don't know what I was reading, but I think what Christianity did is it flipped the value structure. So there was this, I think it was a Nietzsche who said that Christianity is kind of a slave structure, meaning it brought value to the downtrodden, which is for most of history has been pretty much 99.9% of humans, and it gave value to the people who were disenfranchised. Because most of, and it gave value to the virtues of humility and gave some dignity to the people who were downtrodden. And, I think a while back, I would just probably diss Christianity as kind of an atheist. And now as I'm studying, I think there is Christianity to do a lot to the Western world. I need to study more. So I would be Christian over Mormon. At least Christianity, they have a internally consistent theology and philosophy. Mormonism, they just believe whatever they want to believe at the time, and it's all completely inconsistent. And it's just this cluster F. I don't know if I say the F word, how YouTube's going to like that, but of ideas. And it just completely changes over time. And Mormonism is just completely swept by the whims of the time. Now, I think the fundamentalist Christians are probably in some ways worse than Mormonism. But so, what do I believe? I have found for me, and this is, some people say religion is a crutch or believing God is a crutch. And I don't think crutches are all that bad, actually. So I found myself going from kind of very atheist to okay, I believe most of my time in some higher power, and that can be a really good tool for me when I'm feeling really uncertain, when my life is burning down, and I'm feeling really uncertain. I think a belief in God can be a a crutch in people's life in a good way. It can help them get centered and believe that there's some purpose to life. When I feel like life is purposeless and I don't become a good person and I act in ways that I don't like. Comments here. Yeah, service is good. And I think a lot of religion, it's been people reflecting on humanity and what it is to be human, and they come to conclusions. And it's based on an objective value. What works for societies? What brings happiness to humans? And service is one of those things. Being somewhat selfless is good for humans. I don't know, other values. Yeah, and pretty much any religion, like with Mormonism, what just drives me nuts is if I were to believe in Mormonism, I'd have to believe in a God who is omnipotent and all-knowing and glorious. And he has this magnificent plan for humans. But crap, he forgot to actually teach it to most of the world. So he has this plan of happiness, but unfortunately, he only taught it to a couple white dudes in Salt Lake City. It's just silly. If there's a plan of life, it has to be for all of humans. And so, for me, what is the purpose of life? And for me, like, the purpose of life has to make sense for all of humans. And if there's a purpose, what makes sense for me that's appropriate for anybody in the world is like, look, we're born with a certain situation. We might be rich, we might be poor, we might be ugly, we might be beautiful. But what all humans can do is we can improve our lives. We can grow. And we can learn for a little bit of self-sacrifice. Like for me, the purpose of my life is to better my life, to develop my talents, and also teach other people, to help my kids. And sometimes when I'm feeling lost, I come back to this. Like, look, the point of my life is to grow, to set some goals that make me grow as a human. There's expansion, to face my fears. And when I'm feeling really lost, I go really to my children. Like, look, I have 4 kids, and I know it's good to teach them, to help them have a better life and a better chance than I had growing up. Let's see here. Look at some comments here. Choices. Let's not forget about this is Entrepreneurship Drive. Let's not forget about taking away choices for slaves. And I don't know exactly what that means, but I think it's helping people expand their choices in life. I really like entrepreneurship, actually. It's about creating systems that help people thrive and develop their talents and things. So for me, that's like life. It's like, look, wherever you are, you can better your life. You can better the life of your children. That if I were God, that's what I would make the purpose of life. And that's and what I love too, again, thinking like if I were God, well, the purpose of life, I would embed it in the DNA of all humans. Instead of the purpose of life being this obscure thing that's only taught to a couple white dudes in Mormon land, I would actually embed the purpose of life into all humans. And what we do find is actually humans do have this drive to better themselves, to survive, to pass on their knowledge to their kids. That's the purpose of life. That makes sense. And so in Mormonism, I have to believe in this God who apparently is all-knowing, but unfortunately, in his all-knowingness, he forgot to actually give the purpose of life to 99.98% of humans. It's just silly. So for me, it's like you can either be Mormon or be a rational, thoughtful human being. There's really no, you can either be Mormon and believe that you're this special little tribe of, I don't know how many active Mormons there are, 4 million active Mormons who are so special and you know the truth and you've got it all figured out. It's just so pompous and arrogant. Or you can just be a rational human being. And like for me, if you're going to believe in God, you have to believe that he's smart enough to create a plan that all humans can participate in. So I think Mormonism is driven, the growth is driven by indoctrination, by divisive techniques. And I just don't like that aspect of it. The future of Mormonism, what would be my ideal for Mormonism? I think if the brethren came out and said, okay, honestly, there's truth everywhere. We're not the one true church. But we're going to use our organization to spread good in the world. We're going to lessen the suffering of human beings, and we're going to help humans to develop discipline and develop, faith in their abilities and charity. That's a good cause. But it's funny, like as a missionary, most of our time was spent teaching people and indoctrinating. This is the one true church, and Joseph Smith is the one true prophet of God. And honestly, it's just a bunch of bullshit. Most of the mission, honestly, wasn't like really even like helping people have faith in Jesus Christ. It was like getting them to believe that Mormonism is the one true church in the restoration. That was most of the focus of Mormonism. And it's really just culty, like really culty. And once you're outside of Mormonism, you can really see the cultishness. I was diehard Mormon. In the mission, I was a fantastic missionary, obedience to the T. We baptized hundreds of people in Mexico. And I was all in for a decade after the mission. I knew Mormonism was the purpose of life, and the purpose of my life was to be Mormon and make sure my kids were Mormon. And for me, the falling point was after about a decade, I was so frustrated in Mormonism and I was so unhappy. But it was this conflict. Like I wanted Mormonism to be this purpose of life, and I wanted to help me grow. But after a while, I started seeing it was actually the teachings of Mormonism that were holding me back. And I started listening to other books outside of Mormonism. I started getting to other personal growth things. I went to a Tony Robbins event, and I really started to see like, oh crap, a lot of these Mormon ideas are holding me back. This idea that this small group of, dudes in Salt Lake have this plan of happiness, and I need to be obedient exactly, and there's a right way to do life, and it's the Mormon way, and that I need to see things black and white like the Book of Mormon, all that crap was holding me back. And so as soon as I saw, it was nice leaving Mormonism, I just saw this big expanse of, wow, there's all these great thinkers in the world who have some really genuine insight that actually changes people's lives. And I remember in Mormonism, like I thought like, okay, in order to help people in their lives, I've got to get them to believe in Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon, and then, to get baptized, and that's what's going to help them. And I started just seeing like, oh wait, there's people in the world who just help humans, and you can get rid of all this Book of Mormon nonsense and this Joseph Smith nonsense, which is really hard selling. You can just help people. And then it was like, oh, I want that. And so it was just, and then I started just seeing the logical inconsistencies of Mormonism. One of the breaking points as I was reading Fair LDS and this whole thing of Joseph Smith and trying to do all these mental gymnastics and him with his, scores of wives, it was just like, wait a second, why am I defending this dude? If I wasn't Mormon, there would be no reason to believe in any of this nonsense. And, things just started breaking away. I started really just focusing on the essentials, being grateful and focusing on just being a successful human being. And I felt much happier. Anyway, this has been a long, 30 minutes just hanging here talking about Mormonism. My goal is just to spread some good ideas. I think there's a lot of people suffering in Mormonism. They're not free to actually go along with their own thoughts. They've been indoctrinated. They're stuck in this kind of Mormon shell, and they feel like they have to defend these indefensible ideas, and it just tears you inside. And as soon as you really just give up defending this religion, you're free to actually think and to be an expressed human being. And that's what I want for other humans. It's a hard transition for me. It was. I had to really, struggle. But once you get outside of it, you just see, oh, this is just an illusion. There's really no reason to believe in this. No more reason than to believe in Islam or, fundamentalist Christianity. It's just another religion with a bunch of, it's just a religion with a bunch of wacky ideas. So anyway, cool. It's fun sharing that with you guys. I'm going to take off now. It's almost 10:15 where I am. I'm going to go. I don't know what I'm going to do. Make some music, play some video games. Who knows? So anyway, peace, guys. Entrepreneurship Drive says, my feelings are hurt. I don't know why your feelings are hurt. Why are your feelings hurt? She's just kidding. Be happy and stay safe. I can agree with that. I'm going to drink an Izzy to that. I've got this little, oh no, Vizzy, what it's called. It's something. Every once in a while, I like to drink a little bit. It's all good. Peace, guys. Thanks for hanging with me. Let's hang another day. Love you guys. I wish you the best, that you have a fantastic life, that you be well psychologically, and that you accomplish goals and just be a badass in your own life. Cheers. Peace.